Whoa. Hey guys, I'm Cameron. You're watching Killer Cam. Today we've made it to the beautiful West Side Park in the suburbs of Indianapolis. We're going to be doing something green today on this beautiful Saturday.
Warm water, brush my tongue, ashes on my lap, don't let the blunt run, oh shit they spilled my sack. Warm water, brush my tongue, ashes on my lap, don't let the blunt run, oh shit they spilled my sack.
So I'm at the head of this really creepy dark path right now. Here, you guys gotta look at this. Okay, so it doesn't look as dark or as creepy on camera, but we're gonna do it. Oh look, a fucking bird. What a shame.
Bung water, brush my tongue, ashes on my lap, don't let the blunt run, oh shit they spilled my sack, yo bitch be standing.
So now to actually get to why we are out here at the West Side Park, we need to track down a water source because I've had this idea of creating an EcoSphere for a really long time. So we're gonna go ahead and do that today, and I'm gonna kind of walk you through the steps of how I go through setting up my EcoSphere. Seems that we have found our water source. We are gonna find a decent way down to it that also kind of has a muddy bank as well, because that's where we're gonna find a lot of the life forms that we wanna take into our EcoSphere with us. Some of you may be wondering, what's an EcoSphere? Basically, an EcoSphere is a closed environment that has everything that it needs to sustain the living creatures in that environment theoretically forever. We'll see how that goes.
But what would I gain? Cosmic energy again? Bitch, you looking like a stain. Shake your ass and make it rain. Ice all on my chain, still frozen in these shackles. Shit ain't changed, it's just...
Yep, here it is. This is the perfect kind of area for starting an EcoSphere. So we're gonna wanna start off by gathering some of this water, and not just water from anywhere. I'm not gonna walk over there because it'll scare off a lot of the life that's over there. But you wanna go in the areas right where it starts to get a little bit muddy. And as well as picking up some water, you wanna try and scoop into the mud as well. And that will help gain a lot of the life forms that are living in the soil underneath the leaves, as well as some of the ones that are swimming around in the water itself. So to start off, we're gonna actually focus in on this little cesspool kind of by a bunch of sticks. It's just a little low flow area that is away from the mainstream of water. I wanna go here because this is where I think a lot of the slower moving low flow animals would be at. Again, scooping some of the dirt. Then we're also gonna go out here where the flow of the water kind of gets caught by this outcropping of the mud. Let's hope I don't sink into it. You guys probably can't see it very well, but there's a leaf that's decaying underneath the water. We're gonna go ahead and swipe that up as well. That'll help give the life in this aquarium something to feed on. It'll also be a really good area for algae to attach, which will also be another means of feeding the life form in this EcoSphere. Now, one thing that I didn't mention when I started this video is I have two separate containers here. One container is the dirty container, we'll say. This is where you want to collect most of the ingredients for your EcoSphere. The dirt, the different algae that you find around the water, that kind of stuff goes in here. Now we also have a second container, which I'm just using a plastic bottle, and that's what we're gonna use primarily to scoop up the water from the EcoSphere. We'll then transfer both of those two containers into a final display container later once we get back to the reptile room. So we've got a good amount of dirt here for the EcoSphere. We're gonna go ahead and focus in on trying to find some of the algae that's growing here on the rocks and in the water, because that's gonna benefit us substantially. The more algae that you can find to put in there, the more oxygen that will be released into the water, therefore giving whatever is living in there something to breathe off of, as well as something to feed off of. Okay, cool. Here we go. You'll see that there's multiple rocks with green on them. That's what we're looking for. We want to take these pieces and add them into the EcoSphere, because these will be great harborers of algae for our EcoSphere. We're gonna go ahead and grab the water container and scoop up some of the water here. I think I see some shrimp going around here in the water as well. So we're gonna go ahead and try and get some of those for the EcoSphere. Now, in theory, as long as I stay on this same river and pick up sources from this same river, everything will cohesively go together in the EcoSphere. Alrighty, so we have made it to a different area of the river. Let me show you guys. I'm liking what I'm seeing here. Especially, I'm liking this right here. These plants seem to be growing right out of the water, especially these guys right here. I think I'm gonna snatch up a couple of those. Not only will I be able to incorporate them into my cages, but I will be able to easily incorporate them into this EcoSphere. Like I said, these little water plants here are gonna work wonders in my EcoSphere, and I'll also be able to easily incorporate them into some of the water features in my actual reptile habitats. Or if you can find an area that on the water has a bunch of leaves or plants or that kind of stuff in it, that's the best place to collect your water from, just because there's going to be a bunch of little critters hiding in these leaves here. Yep, a big old fish just shot out of here actually. Alrighty guys, so we've collected pretty much everything that I aimed to collect when I came out here for the EcoSphere. So I'm gonna forage around here a little bit, try and find a couple of things that I can use in my future cages, and then we're gonna go ahead and head back to the reptile room. We've made it back to the reptile room. We're gonna go ahead and get started on the EcoSphere. Now, you don't wanna use either the container that I took with me, the ball jar, or the plastic jar. Two reasons. One, the ball jar, unless it's boiled, is designed to let air out, so it won't become a completely contained EcoSphere. For the water bottle, we don't want to use that because it's made of plastic, and over time, if this EcoSphere does last years, the plastic, the BPA, it's just not good for an environment. Hence why Earth sucks. You gotta choose your container. I chose this Knob Creek whiskey bottle. Cool thing about most whiskey bottles is they come with a cork, which means that they will be airtight. And metal and flat usually works best, or you can just fingernail it off. Either way's up to you. Once you get most of the label off, go ahead and put it in a sink with really hot soapy water. This will also help disinfect the inside, but it'll make the rest of the sticker easier to get off as well. So you finally got your bottle clean. For me, it's been a couple of days now. I wanted to let this thing dry out and make sure that it was fully clean so that when I put a little tiny world in here, it can survive. In the meantime, I have been keeping everything that I collected from outside, including the dirt, the plants, the water, and all the little tiny bugs that live inside of that water, underneath of a high voltage light, so that way they can continue to grow and continue their life before they go in this bottle. Go ahead and start removing everything that you've been saving up for your EcoSphere and get it laid out. Of course, don't remove the water until it's ready to go in. So we'll take some of the plants that we got. We'll take out the wood that we got. And I'll tell you one thing, this stuff does not smell nice at all, man. Alrighty, so once you have a large majority of everything out of your collection jar, you'll want to go ahead and make yourself a little funnel. I've chosen to just use paper and then just jam it right down into the top. Then go ahead and start pouring this murky mess into the bottle. Once you got all of the water out of the collection jar, it should be a lot easier to just go ahead and put the mud in. I'm going to be using a pair of tongs and just grab pieces of the mud and just really shove it in. Now really getting the mud in here is the hardest part because mud does not cooperate for anything. So once you get the mud in, you'll have something pretty similar to this. Of course, you won't be able to see the rest of the water until the mud settles down, and that's going to make it really hard to scape your EcoSphere. So when you're building an EcoSphere and you take a break like this, make sure you put it underneath a bright light so that it can continue to grow algae, which will continue to feed the little tiny things that are living in there. It took the entire night to go ahead and clear up, and I tried desperately to get a cool time lapse, and it was just taking too long. However, we now have some pretty clear water, which will make it pretty easy for us to plant the plants in there and distribute the rocks where we want them. I did go ahead and drop a couple of rocks in so that way the algae on these rocks, whatever is already in here, can eat it. You can actually see a little tiny worm. I don't know what it is, but it's in there and it's living. We're gonna start by putting in the rest of these rocks in here and just kind of dropping them in and hoping that I can land them where I want them. This is really the hardest part of scaping this because the rocks are so big that you can't get your tweezers and the rocks down the bottleneck at the same time. Now we got the plants in the EcoSphere, the rocks in there, the dirt in there, there's even a bunch of critters. We're just waiting for this piece of wood to start sinking so I can place it exactly where I want it down in here, which I think I'm gonna try and tuck it right up underneath of this plant, and then we can seal it off. So everyone's been wanting to see the EcoSphere, a lot more of you than I actually thought. It's been about a week since I first field collected everything, and it's been 2 days, as you can see on the top here, since I've capped it off. I've been giving it plenty of light to kickstart the algae growth in the cage, and you can kind of see right here there is some algae growing and floating in the water, those long strands of algae. Also in here, let's see if I can get a good angle. We have little white floaty things. You can see one up here in the top right. And those are little amoeba. There's one that shoots up to the top there. There's one swimming right in the middle of the screen pretty much. And so yeah, other than the plants dying off, everything seems to be doing well. We are still getting some algae growth, which will allow the amoeba and the protozoa and everything else that's in there to grow just fine. We got the substrate, so if there are any plants that would like to get kickstarted back alive, those will be going. But really, an EcoSphere is just something that you sit on your desk. It's almost a paperweight. But you know, it's an experiment every time. You want to try and balance the three things that everything needs to live. You need to have, you know, food or an energy source. You need reproduction, and of course you need sunlight. The sunlight's going to help you get the food is going to give you the energy source, the energy is going to allow you to have the energy to reproduce, and that just keeps this whole thing going. I think I want to try this again, even though right now we are still going a whole 2 days strong, as you can see, but I really wanted plants in here, and I'm kind of sad that they died off. But we'll keep this running for probably the next couple of months, see what happens to it, and I'll keep you guys updated. Hey guys, thanks for watching Saturday's video. I thought it'd be something cool to kind of start doing something a little bit different than reptiles on Saturdays, but still kind of in that same realm of things. If you like that idea, let me know. I'll keep making different kind of videos that are around the same realm of reptiles, but a little varied. Again, if you like the video, give me a like and stay tuned for Tuesday's video. Thanks guys.
Warm water, brush my tongue, ashes on my lap, don't let the blunt run, oh shit they spilled my set. Warm water, brush my tongue.